Hey Mercy,
Hello, good evening.
good evening. We are live streaming this call on Ethereum Protocol YouTube channel and ECH Institute handle. So let me know whenever you are ready so we can s- switch into stream.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello. Sorry, we'll start soon. I think Zin will join. He said he's joining in the next 5 minutes. I'm not sure. Okay, he's here. Hi, Zin.
Hey, how's it going?
Fine. Akash,
Good. How about yourself?
Yeah,
I'm okay. I'm fine. You can start streaming now. Thank you.
yeah, we are live.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to RPC Standard Call 12. Today being September 15th, 2025. We don't have much things on on our agenda today, but I would really love us to discuss about the stages of our PR because we have so much still PRs on the repo. So I think Kira, you have merging rights to the repo. I don't know if I'm correct on this.
Yes, yeah, I do.
Okay, I'm not sure how we're going to move forward, but I would love for us to kind of like move up with the PRs we have because we have like a whole lot of PR that has been still for a very long time and it's not really looking good at this point.
Yeah, I think I'm on the testing team, and so we've been focused on getting Pusaka ready to go. But I think in the next week or so, that'll calm down a fair amount, so I can start going through PRs and just see where we're at with those. I think one of my main priorities for this repo is getting the Hive RPC compat test passing, and so I think
Okay.
to me, I think stale PRs, it's not going to hurt them to stay there longer. I'd rather get like the live stuff going and get the Hive tests running first, and get kind of clients involved, and then go through the stale PRs.
Okay, is there something you need, like we can help you with that? I don't know.
I don't think so right now. I think the biggest thing is, do you know the hive test I'm talking about?
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Which hive test is like failing out of curiosity?
Yeah. Let me link
Like
to.
there is like on Hive test, the last time I checked, there was so many failing tests during
Mhm.
its simulate call. We had that similar complaints during its simulate calls. So
Yeah, so if you pull up this link here, like RPC Compat for me, it looks like the first one, the
yeah.
first category. And so clients are failing, but some of those are just like ordering problems. Like some of them aren't real failures, and so some of them we need to change on the execution API side, and then some of them clients need to change, or we just need to mark. Some of them are from clients that support certain use cases, and so a lot of things we need to just change on our side, and then other things we need to kind of bring up to the clients to have them change on their side.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that the essence of this call is basically to push up anything that concerns Hive and the RPC repo forward. So if there's a way we can help or issues or anything, it would be it's to be helpful to let us know, and maybe I can work around it also. Because at this point, I understand it's the test failing is client specific, but I know about Hive test, but I don't really know the technical aspect of it that much.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's kind of the heart of the issue is that like we just need someone who can like look at these tests and figure out what we need to do and what the next steps are for either us or the clients.
Okay. Okay, I think I'll have to look into this and get back to you. Does anyone have something to say in respect to this?
Yeah, just another quick question. I'm still slightly ignorant on RPC Compat. So the issues that are happening are also reflected back within the execution APIs, and RPC Compat is expecting responses in a particular order, and that like return from the various clients is not in that same order of the captured reference run from like say Geth. And that comparison between the outputs is what is then failing, or is it the
I feel like
specification
get
itself is much more specific than the data that's returned? Just curious as we're starting to think about doing some more work around negative testing for like errors within the execution API spec.
so I'm not sure what you mean, but talking about get has like the highest think or the test here passes. They have 120.
Yeah, but I mean, it kind of comes down to like sometimes we're too strict and sometimes the clients aren't following the spec
So
Okay.
for the RPC Compat.
what could lead to that though?
Sorry, say that one more time.
I said what could lead to that? What could lead to that?
So, I mean,
Is
I
there
think,
no sorry, is there not a way to like make them sort of reach a consensus?
sorry, to make them what?
Is there not a way to like make them reach a consensus?
Yes, yeah. And so we just need to go in and look at them. They're running against, I think I forget what it's called. But the testing tool that Lead Client wrote. And
So they're
I
running
think,
RPC test gen.
Oh,
Yes, but they're running
oh,
against the IO files, I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm pretty sure they compare the results from those IO files from RPC test gen. Does that make sense?
oh. Yeah. No, now the whole thing is making sense to me.
Okay, good.
Okay, I don't think it's simulate alone. Uh, I don't know, but they stopped working for some months. I think I will have to get back to them. It wasn't from East Simulate. I think I can remember.
I'm seeing a lot of RPC competitors failing on Eat Simulate specifically. They expected Eat Simulate does not exist, but the actual result is it is returning some response as per the tested. I think it should be a simple fix. I don't know, but yeah, looking at the some of the tests, just Eat Simulate. I'm pasting a link here. Maybe due to the Eat Simulate because there was a latest addition to the methods, and it's not expecting that method to be present.
I actually thought they fixed it because Sina and Mika, the last call they had was about the last two calls rather was about this. Oh, I'm not sure. So
Actually, for different clients, it's different. It's failing for different reasons. So Eat Simulate is I see as a constant, but I also see some of the tests might need to be updated. Like Zane mentioned, it could be the order, could be some formatting. I do see some formatting needed on the test front, I think.
yeah, because when they wrote the test, when they wrote the test, it was a test that broke the RPC CI that we had to it was expecting an array, but it gave was expecting an object, but it gave up an array, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the execution APIs like spec schema changed. I think Mika had put yeah, like you said, an array and an object was like one of the issues. There was also like some malformation in the schema itself that was causing some
Yeah.
issues. And then there was also the sort of negative testing within the spec. So the tests that were generated were for bad params being thrown in, but the way the RPC test gen works is there's not really a clean way to um, currently do the test for like throwing in malformed parameters because the schema validation will just throw back error. So they got rid of the negative tests and then reformatted from the object to an array, which I think was supposed to be the original spec anyways. And maybe the rest of the clients just haven't caught up to those changes. But it's been about maybe a month and a half since that.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of the problems are just like ETH simulate v1 is not available. And then it wasn't exactly clear, just me taking a cursory look at the code, like why the method wouldn't exist unless it doesn't exist on the clients that are running the test. And maybe that's the case.
Yeah, that could actually be the point because I don't think then it was only Besu rather Nethermind and Get that was working on it, and Get did not finish the implementation, that I'm sure of. But I think the best thing is to like get back to the implementers and then maybe get a proper feedback from them because they have an intrinsic idea of what they are building and what they are expecting. So I don't know, what do you guys think?
Yeah, so my priority for the next little bit for this repo, and I also, I don't work on this full time either, but is to figure out like what do we need to change for these RPC compat tests? Like, is it that, Aragon needs to support each simulate v1? Do we turn those off for Aragon? And trying to figure out what to do on that front.
Yeah.
Okay, just to be clear, on that front, do we need to contact the client's devs involved?
Eventually, but I don't think we're ready to do that right now. I don't know which failures are ours on the execution API side or which failures are like theirs. If that makes sense. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. The one other sort of question that I know on the OpenRPC side that we've been thinking about that may also just like help in these kind of scenarios is adding a marker for like what methods belong in like what fork.
Yeah, that would be
So-
super helpful too.
So
I do
then
think
maybe RPC. Oh yeah, go ahead, Carrie.
well, I was just gonna say I do think they probably run on a certain fork, but I'm not sure about that. But yeah, it'd be nice to have a marker.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that we want to add to execution APIs, which is like proper versioning. So execution APIs and the whole spec could have a version of major and minor, and then we've been floating around across two different possibilities. So one is that the OpenRPC document itself is versioned by a fork, or its individual methods. So the individual method approach means that you'll be able to potentially tag methods for future forks. So you'd know that this method came from Fusaka, this one comes from Glamsterdam, and then you could potentially roll through the document and pull back all the Fusaka methods. And then you would be like, okay, this is what we're going to run. One part that makes this a little bit funny is thinking about all the methods before Fusaka or all the methods before all the different sort of forks themselves. So like how do you pull that back? And so maybe that's a combination of having a semantic versioning for the OpenRPC. So that would be like major, minor, patch. And then on that you would put in like, oh, okay, anything with 1.2 and Fusaka, and that would just pull in everything past a particular date. So the major minor patch would just kind of be like that mile marker to grab everything past that. And so maybe the major or minor versions are just going to be the forks, and then that allows you to pull all those methods or to specifically grab things from a fork. Just throwing that out there. That's some of the things that like we're thinking about as like an upcoming like useful thing, question mark, for those that are spec maintainers and spec knowers.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think the forks being majors versions, I think makes a lot of sense. And I think that's how testing versions as well. I think it becomes a little less flexible if you're trying to be like extensible to other ecosystems. But yeah, it would be super helpful for us.
And then my question would be, yeah, I guess there hasn't been like a major breaking change for a long time since proof of stake. So that would be my only sort of pushback, would be whether or not it would land that forks or minor version updates in general.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense too. Yeah, I think it just depends on on like you guys.
Yeah,
Like if
we
you
can
wanted to
take
use
that.
semantic versioning as like true, like a major is a breaking change versus just like the feature changes that come with each fork. Because I don't think they're getting rid of RPC methods usually, except for the merge.
Yeah, or occasionally there's a deprecation, like I don't know, if account, but it still exists on get.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that makes sense. That makes sense to me. I just like noted it for like sort of my personal notes for going forward.
Okay. So is there any other thing we would love to discuss? Zane, I thought you had something on the agenda, so. Are you there?
Sorry, Mr. Webpoint. Can you repeat that again, Mercy?
Okay. I was asking if there's another thing we would love to discuss.
Oh yeah. I can provide an update. Yeah, I've been talking to Zane. If you remember from our last conversation, I was able to add a bit more cohesive range reservation for each error category. Discuss with Zane. Zane also discussed with Shane. I think we have a good solution, even though that may not be final. But we've decided to move forward with this for now. And I'll be writing a README file for you guys to take a look at it, so it's easy for you to review the whole PR this week. And once I get a thumbs up from you guys, I can start implementing the other part of the solution, which is RPC test gen, for validation and extra verification of these ranges on top of what I already have. So it's looking really close to be getting done. So that's the update from me, and I'll be pushing the README file once I have it in the channel.
This is for the error codes. PR.
Standardization.
Is that right? Uh-huh.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
What sort of buy-in do we have from clients on this?
So this we try to present this in the Ethereum developer meeting, and they nudged us to this meeting. We have Besu working with us. That's the first one. But other than that, no other clients seem to be interested. But I heard a lot of positive reviews on the first meeting where we tried to present, but no client has reached out yet. And this
Okay.
is not going to be restrictive implementation initially. It's going to be just a kind of a warning saying, hey, stick to this error code range or error message, and then slowly start pushing it as a strict measure later on, depending on how flexible we need to be. But this is sort of like a guidance for protocol implementation, to stick to certain ranges or stick to a standard. That's the goal, at least for now, because
Okay.
we acknowledge that it'll be really restricting if we push every client out there immediately to adopt to this, and it would require a lot of changes on their end as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Do we know what sort of like breaking, like downstream effects it would have?
Literally changing the error code to the right one, or should not be any breaking changes at all, because we made sure that the proposal is backwards compatible and same structure, what Ethereum currently does, and just formalizing the existing implementation that we have, and maybe even providing a little bit more. I haven't written the spec for that, but we have it in our original proposal where you can actually change or interchange the messages for an object, so you can provide more stack for the users to refer. But right now we haven't implemented anything, just slowly rolling it out, at least get the error codes out, so anyone who wants to use these sort of standards can use it. That's the goal for now. Anything you want to add, Zane?
Yeah, so I'll add just a little bit to that. So, um, a lot of the sort of thinking is like, okay, we have all of these error codes, like you can actually return back anything. But it would be great if the spec actually like covered what you should return, and then there's like it would be also nice if like the spec itself had a reserved set of ranges that could grow with the spec that then we could allocate towards certain sort of categories of errors, whether those be like execution errors, like you see with like ETH simulate, or gas related errors. And we can say like, hey, look, oh, we don't have these methods that use this and we don't have this specific error, but it's a large enough range to where we feel like, oh, if we add like 500 different spaces for the code, we can eventually formalize on like, oh, let's assign like 32503 none. And that prevents downstream consumers from just like grabbing at error codes to do certain sorts of like functionality. So here's a kind of weird, complicated thing that like we'll eventually need to sort of sort out. Um, so on the consuming side of clients, they're like clients like MetaMask and like say Flashbots, for instance, just because this is one that has come to my awareness recently. Um, they like MetaMask has some codes around canceling transactions. And then MetaMask will do some things like call get transaction receipt, and get transaction receipt returns back a code. But the way MetaMask is structured, it is not going to cancel a transaction to a certain sort of like point, which has some ramifications for like the mem pool for transactions on like sort of Flashbot side. So what Flashbots is proposing to MetaMask is that they return back a very specific Flashbots like error code. And then MetaMask at the consuming side can then say, oh, I got this weird client error. And then I can respond to it and I can just cancel this transaction because like Flashbots has it in their private memory pool and it's all good. And so like there is a potential that there are lots of these kind of like almost side deals that are going with the error codes. And because we don't have a formal range right now, anyone can just like start throwing back anything. And then that could then come into conflict with the things that we're already trying to do with error codes. So the sooner that we're able to define a range for returning or what is acceptable, then like the better it works. um, and
Completely agree
the
with you.
more
Yeah,
truthy it is, and then the more we can actually test against it for like, hey, is the client returning the proper error code for this? And the more developers can rely on it, and that kind of thing. So that's kind of the motivation behind it. And the thought is start with all the stuff that we already know, define it, put it in the spec, make it really nice to actually use. So error groups kind of do that in a way. So it's like, oh, you can reference to a whole group of errors versus needing to individually list out every error on every method. You can just say, oh, this like ETH.get gas or ETH call can return back execution errors or gas errors, and you're just kind of done. All right. So that's that rant.
Cool. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. As long as it's not too like constrictive to, it won't like break clients. I think that's a good approach. Sounds like.
yeah.
So I
Thank.
also like to. Okay, sorry.
No, go ahead, Mercy.
Yeah, I wanted to say if it would be nice if we get like a proper documentation so that I'll kind of like send it to the various client teams, because the earlier they give us a feedback if that is any, the better. If not, to keep running around in circles and keep spending more unnecessary times on it. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, definitely agree. The last week I was able to do the error ranges. That's where we struggled a bit because conceptually it made sense, but technically it was a bit harder to implement. But last week, with Zane's feedback, I was able to get that done. Now I can actually write a spec or a document for sharing it with other clients. It would make a lot of sense now because before there was no way to restrict anyone or not restrict, like guide them to say this is the range we've reserved for an error group. Now that we have a codified solution, it would make a lot of sense to associate with the code now. Yeah, I'll get started on it really quickly, and we want to actually get this out sooner than later. We'll keep you guys posted on the channel. And again, thanks to Zane and everyone for bearing with us so far.
Thanks to you. Seriously.
You
Good idea. I'm just here to help make these things like happen.
definitely, you've been massively helpful, Zane. Cool. That's it from me.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there another thing? Sorry about that. Is there any other thing we want to discuss? Zane?
Yeah, sure. I will just give a brief update on some of the thinking that we're having around like the docs, like sort of rework, rethink. And part of that is that we're leaning towards trying to do something that's like a little bit more generic and maybe easier to work with from many different documentation, like sort of framework aspects. And by that, I mean, uh, we're thinking about like sort of generating the markdown into the repo itself. And then doing things like, say, generating do not edit, like tags for the markdown. And so this kind of has the effect of making it easier to work within various frameworks that anyone may have. So if you had like the Docusaurus, or like even if we were to say, oh, we're going to keep this Gatsby, which we're not. But it would make things much easier. If you wanted to do README docs, you could do that. If you wanted Pandoc, you could do that. You could do PDF if that's where you wanted to go. And then to just kind of make that really easy. Um, and so that's kind of where we're thinking like infrastructurally we'll go. And then we have a bunch of like sort of features around that to generate MDX for the more specific things, like being able to run curl on things or to do a lot of the nice modern API like specky things. The other thing I would say about that, oh, I had something else. Ah, yes. So in the revamp, what will probably happen is the markdown that would be generated would be for individual methods. And so that talks about like doing individual method pages, kind of like the route that things were headed before we had to kind of revert to go forward again. Yeah. That's pretty much so the update. I guess while I'm in there, I'm also kind of curious to hear from the users of docs and just general docs in general, just docs in general. What do you find yourself doing a lot of that is somewhat frustrating? If you have any of those things, feel free to let me know. You don't have to say it like live right now on the call. Just like drop me a thing in the Discord, a message, and I'm happy to like hear about it. Because now is a good time to let me know.
Okay, thank you, Zane. Oh, definitely. So do we have anything to say in respect to this, or we'll talk as sync? Okay, I guess not. So, any other thing we need to discuss before we end the call? I think that's we've covered almost everything. All right then. So okay, I think that will be all for today, and then see you guys sometime in 2 weeks' time, probably.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
This, right?
Thank you.